song, Revelation 18:23. And the light of a lamp shall not shine in you any more at all, and the voice of bridegroom and bride shall not be heard in you any more at all. For your merchants were the great ones of the earth, for by your drug sorcery all the nations were led astray.
Shabbat Shalom,
everybody. So today, or tonight rather, we are going to do a video that's a little different than what we're normally used to doing. This is a video about the true events that happened to me and her last year, and we think it's time that we should share this event with you guys. And for that, we'll start with how it all began, right?
Yeah, and so, I'm a note taker and I like to write to make sure that I don't leave out details. So you'll see me looking away from the camera a little. But, without going into a really long backstory, we were led in the spirit to move to Virginia from Georgia. So fast forward, we're temporarily staying at a house, and there's an old house on the property. And Frank was outside working in the woods, cleaning brush and briars and all that fun stuff. And he calls me one evening to come out and look at the top of this old house in the window. And there's this huge, really old vulture looking out of the window. And I spoke to him because that's what I do. I talk to birds, I talk to animals. Yeah, and so he looks at us, and he looks at us sideways, and he jumps down from where he's at in this window to the next level. Like he's looking at us going, no one ever talks to me. And anyway, so after a few minutes of standing there and looking at him, he flew off. Now you could tell this is where he lived. I mean, it looked like he had lived there for a long time.
Where he perched at, you can tell it's like old houses are gray. It was just like brown where he had been just sitting there for so long. And he had black eyes, and he was a black vulture.
And so, but he had a lot of white, like he was really old. And so I nicknamed him the Overseer because he sat in this window high up watching. He was just sitting there watching. So, you want to take it from here? A few weeks later.
Yeah, so a few weeks later, I was cleaning up around the house that the vulture was in, and it was completely, it's been there since the 60s, so this house was completely overgrown with sticker bushes, and just, you couldn't get to it. You couldn't even get in the house. So,
and this is July 17th of 2023.
Yeah, July 17th, 2023. So I finally get my chainsaw and I start cutting down these trees, and I find a way into the house. So I finally get in the house, and keep in mind the whole front porch is just gone, so I'm kind of like teeter-tottering across things to get in there. So I take a bunch of pictures because this house was used for storage, and there was like a lot of old furniture, and she likes.
Yeah, I like old furniture. I mean, I'm very particular about, things and where things have come from, but some old furniture is really pretty, if it's worth refurbishing or, whatever. So
then I text her and I sent her a picture and text her and asked her if she wanted to, keep anything out of the house. And she texted me back and said, well, that chair looks really interesting. Because it was like this old Victorian style chair. It was red leather, had little buttons on it and stuff like that. And so I texted her and said, do you want the chair? And she's like, yeah. So I went back in to get the chair out, and when I went to move the chair, it just, bees came out there everywhere, and I was running for my life. And so I went back
and so where we associate bees with judgment. The word Deborah, like the judge, in Judges, in the book of Judges, is judgment, and her name also means a bee.
So then I went back and with some Raid and got rid of some of the bees. And then when I was moving the chair out, I seen across the house there was a like on the outside of the house it's like caved in, so you couldn't actually walk to this, but there was a box, a big box, like a trunk up against the wall, and she has an old trunk in the house that we use as a coffee table.
So this was the next day.
This was
the next July 18th.
So yeah, this was the 18th. So the next day, I finally get to the point where I can get this chair out, and I seen this box across the house. So I sent her a picture. I said, "Check out this box," because she likes these old trunks. And I said, "Do you want this box?" Right?
Yeah. And so I read the text. Frank says, or he asks, "Do you want me to get the chair or the trunk out?" I said, "Sure." And then he said, "If so, where are we going to put it?" So I said, "Maybe the shed until I get home." He said, "Okay." And I said, "Well, if it's too heavy, don't worry about it." And so then he sends me a picture of the chest in the box. It was 11:05, and he said it was another daring feat. I said, "I can imagine. Did you open it? Hopefully there was no carcasses in it."
Right. So to get to this box that's on it, and I couldn't go across the house, so I seen that side of the wall was missing, like maybe there was a window there at one time, and there was an old bed frame laying up against it with the little springs in it, and I realized that I could come in from that side of the wall and get this box out. So I went around that side of the house, and it was just covered in like sticker bushes and weeds and trees and everything else. I took my chainsaw again and cleared, and it took me a while before I could get to that wall. And keep in mind, this wall is it's like 4 foot up to get to where I needed to get in. So I had to climb up to get on top to get to the box and move this bed frame out of the way. And I got this box and I wrestled it down. And
this is a very dramatic.
Yes, it was very dramatic. So I drag it down to the ground and it's locked. And I'm like, oh, it's locked. So, and them old key locks they had back in the old day where they took the old skeleton key and put in. Well, anyways, I went back to the house and got a screwdriver and came back and was jimmying the lock, and I finally got it open. And that's when I opened it, and it has like a little tackle box thing, when it opens, it has a top shelf that goes with a little mechanism that opens, and it was all closed. And keep in mind, it's locked, and the little shelf that came up was one of the old-timey shelves that had a little button with a string around it that keeps it closed. And I think what they did back in the old days is they put their clothes in it, and then they set it in the trunk and then close it. And so it's closed, and I open that.
And then he sends me 2 pictures of the open chest, and he says, "See him?"
Insert picture.
On the top shelf, Mr. Black Rat Snake. He was pretty much at home and didn't want to leave, but I got him out and sent him on his way. He was about 4 or 5 foot long. He's off to find a new home. Then he sends me a text saying it has a removable drawer. It had some old New Girl playing card and some drug Pfizer. I said, "Oh my goodness, what in the world?" And the snake. Maybe that thing is cursed. Very strange. So we had snake, pharmacy, and nude women. So Frank asks,
well,
take it to the dump.
Before that, like when I send you that picture, the snake was in there coiled up, and keep in mind this box was closed, right? And I open it, and the top shelf is closed with a button over it. But the snake is inside of all this. He's inside of a closed lock box with a shelf that's closed with a string around it. So the snake actually bore a hole and got through the box, bore a hole into the shelf on top, and then bore a hole and then got on the left side of the box and coiled up and was under a bunch of like cotton or wool or something. And when I opened it, I was thinking, oh, this is a rat nest, right? This is not like anything but a rat nest. But when I went to grab, I had gloves on. When I went to grab the rat nest, I seen scales. And I was like, there is a snake in this box. And so that's when I texted her and said, did you see this? Because I wanted to just see it in the box, right? I didn't want to take it out first. And that's when I sent that text to you. And then, of course, I got a stick and move the stuff, and he didn't want to come out of there. I finally got him out, and he was a pretty good sized snake to be in that box, coiled up. He was a lot bigger than I thought he was, because rat snakes are really, really long. So he was about 4 or 5 foot long inside that box, and he slithered himself back into the house that I just took him out of.
Yeah. And so I was at work.
Yeah, she's at work at this time.
So I didn't know all this was going on.
Hey, I was working too.
No, other than what he was texting me.
Right.
So I wasn't like actually there for it.
All right. So I had my own little adventure going on with Mr. Snake.
So all I have are the texts.
Right.
But so Frank had asked me, so do you want to take it to the dump? I said, yeah, that's too weird. And, we decided, well, when I got home from work, we would put it on the back of the truck and take it.
Snake in a box.
And I was like,
pharmacy in the box, and then a naked playing card in the box, right?
Yeah, all for this old chest that appeared to be very
Bees,
pretty, very
vulture,
pretty on the outside.
Yeah.
So is sin, right?
That's right.
Sin.
Yeah.
How it lures you in. So when I put the Google lens on the picture of this chest, it says that it was a vintage steamer trunk from the 1800s.
Right. So then I didn't take the box to the dump right away because she hadn't got home from work and I wanted her to see it. Anyways, she come home and we were on the front porch of the house just talking about this box and all the events. I was telling her this whole story about how I had to wrestle this box down. And the whole time, keep in mind, the snake's still in the box while I'm bringing it down. Like, he did not come out of the box. He was not leaving. So I was telling her about the card that I found with a 2 on it, and the pharmacia in a little bottle of had a Pfizer on it, right? Pfizer on the bottle. And she asked me, remember you asked me, was there anything else in the box?
Yeah, so we're sitting there and I'm like, well, let's go take a look because you could have missed something. There might have been something else in there,
So we go back. So we go back to the box and dig in the bottom, and lo and behold, there was another card.
So
and this card had the number 3 on it. So we have a 2 card and 3 card.
Yeah, so we have a locked chest that had to be pried open.
Yeah.
A snake that was hiding under wool, a bottle of old Pfizer, and 2 playing cards that are the number 23 that have nude women on them. And when we flipped the playing cards over on the back, they had like pictures of like these weird looking voodoo faces.
Voodoo faces on the back of the card, really weird. So we decided that it was
we
just
gonna burn this thing.
too much evil involved with this box, right? Black snake being in it, pharmacia being in it, the number 23, which we all know what that is, and so we're like, we got to burn the box. So we put everything back in the box, and I just put lighter fluid inside and outside the box, and I set it on fire. And I prayed over this thing to Father, just remove this evil from us, get this evil out of our lives, And I burned that box down to ashes. And there was nothing left but the little metal brackets that held the corner pieces, together, and the lock mechanism and stuff. And the next day I got up in the morning and I scraped every little bit of what was left of the box and the black char, put it in the trash bag and took it to the dump. And
so then I get like this weather alert on my phone that says there was a large tornado in North Carolina that caused injuries and damaged some buildings. So I go and look on the internet. Lo and behold, the Pfizer building, tornado ripped right through it and demolished it.
Decimated it.
The day after
at
we
12
found
o'clock,
this box.
The very next day.
With the snake, the Pfizer, the 23, and we burned it.
Wow. Look at this at 7:12. A contractor captures dramatic video of the EF3 tornado that hit a Pfizer plant in North Carolina Wednesday. His company installed the dash camera. This captured on the same morning for insurance purposes. The contractor was inside the plant at the time of the recording and took shelter with others in a hallway. coming out of the damage nearly half an hour later.
Contractor says that part of the building that handles products stored and ready to be shipped was hit the hardest. The plant supplies more than a quarter of the sterile injectable drugs that are used in hospitals across the country. And Pfizer says no one was hurt and all employees will be paid while the plant is closed, but that will affect some of their distributions.
Crazy story, I know, but true story. So here's some interesting facts that we looked up today, because we were trying to go back through the story and look through all the old pictures. We kept all the pictures and we were waiting to tell the story. So some things I looked up today about the black snake. I gotta put my glasses on. Old man can't see.
Well, I mean, I have glasses, so.
You ain't older. All right, so black rat snakes were called pilot snakes. It was like an old legend or whatever from back in the day, because it was believed that they led venomous snakes to safe denning areas. But like the false prophet, the nations believed that he was leading them to safety, but this wasn't true. All right. Black rat snakes are also called eastern rat snakes, which is where the sun rises, right? In many cultures, black snakes are seen as symbols of transformation, change, and rebirth. The Greek name for the black rat snake is Pantherophis obsoletus, which roughly translates, the word panther is two words in Greek, pan meaning all, and ther meaning beast. So it means all beast is what panther means. And ophis, of course, means serpent or nakash. And then obsoletus means of old. So the word for the black rat snake is all beast, serpent of old.
So we share this story, it took us a little over a year. We felt it in our spirit, because it's like all the things, I know some of you have to see like just all the evil that's going on around, and how people are changing, and
people are bowing to this right now.
It's very heartbreaking. Well, we know that has to happen, but we felt like it was time to share that, because it was just, what's the word? Is it like surreal? Like how
creepy.
That happened? Yeah, creepy. That happened, and then the very next day, this plant that produces these
I was in unbelief. I was like, no way.
Gets demolished.
No way.
And so, yeah. This is a factual thing, is that sheep's blood has a natural occurring anti-venom to snake venom. So when snake venom, or Satan, Shaitan, has injected his venom, it is overcome by the blood of the Lamb.
Amen. Hallelujah. 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 Well, we love you guys, and we thank you for taking this time to listen to our story. I know it's a little unusual story, but it really happened to us, and we just thought we'd share it with you guys.
Yeah, and let us know what you think. If you've experienced something similar, or something just way out there that's like, would anybody even believe this? Like, what does it mean? And that kind of thing, But, like I said, we just felt like it was time to share that. So we thank you for taking the time to watch, and
Shalom,
shalom.